So, should you start your own business? Okay, that is a fantastic question, and I'm going to give you 4 reasons why you should strongly consider starting your own business in today's training. Hey everyone, it's Mike Adams, and on this channel we empower individuals to achieve freedom through improved financial literacy and business ownership. If you are new to the channel, make sure to click subscribe and click the bell so that way you get notified on any and all of our future training. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be discussing 4 reasons why you really should consider starting your own business, okay? And I've got to tell you, after spending time in the military and then time in corporate America, over 15 years in corporate America, 18 years, 15 of them at the same exact company, grinding my way up that corporate ladder. So I understand that W-2 grind and that mindset that kind of goes along with that. But I think what we're seeing this year is that, with everything that's kind of gone on, it's like, most people are starting to realize that they need to start thinking outside of the box, okay, and outside of the conventional thinking. Because, what's going on? For folks that have been completely indoctrinated by, conventional thinking, which is, go to school, get good grades, get a degree, get a great job, work your tail off, right? Work there for as many years as possible. And at the end of the rainbow, perhaps you'll have a few pennies left to retire on in something referred to as a 401k, right? And, but what are we seeing right now? Right now we're seeing record high unemployment. Right now we're seeing people really struggling with student loan debt, to the gills. I'm speaking to folks on consultation calls that are in their late 40s that are still over 6 figures in student loan debt. And that's what we're seeing. More folks than ever are moving into retirement with a hefty mortgage going into retirement. Where you're about to stop working and you still have this mortgage that you're dragging. Imagine dragging that anchor into retirement. But millions of folks are dealing with that right now based on conventional thinking and trying to use conventional thinking that may have worked in years past in a different economy. But in this new economy, what we're seeing is, again, that conventional thinking isn't yielding the same type of lifestyle or result. Right now, that lifestyle is a lot of struggle, a lot of stress, a lot of debt, okay? And a lot of working our tail off just to pay the banks and pay interest to the banks without really gaining, of course, any equity in the business or moving towards building any kind of wealth for ourselves whatsoever, okay? And so, it's been said that, and really most people know, that if you truly want to get ahead in life, okay, you need to have your own business, okay, and that is true more so, now more so than ever. And I want to give you guys 4, and I'm coming with a hard sell today, right? Because this is really about you. I want to try to inspire some of you guys to take action on starting your own business. Maybe you kind of had it inside of you that maybe you should do it. Let me help push you over the top, because I can tell you, for my wife and I, it was the best decision that we ever made, was starting our own small business that was there for me when I got laid off from my job after 15 years of working at the exact same company and grinding my way up. I got laid off. But luckily enough, we had our own small business that we had been working on the side that was starting to generate some revenue. And from there, we were able to go all in on it, and we've been full-time business owners ever since. And so again, if we can do it, an ex-military grunt, and sales veteran, if we can do it, you can do it too. So let me give you 4 really good reasons why you may want to start your own business. So the first reason why you might want to start your own business is because it will help you create an additional revenue stream, okay? And one lesson that we've learned with this entire economic downturn is that, you need to have multiple streams of income, because you never know what might happen to one of those streams. How many people do we know that out of the blue, and of course, at no fault of their own, lost their job this year, or had to deal with reduced hours, or had to do a furlough, or had to do 1 week on and 1 week off, and just had to, deal with some type of reduction. How many folks do we know that, hey, I got kids, and they were home. They weren't in school for those 6-7 hours Monday through Friday for these last couple of months. And how many folks had to deal with that and had to make a major change and impacted their income, again, at no fault of their own, out of the blue. And so it always makes sense to have multiple streams of revenue. And again, it has been said that you should never ever rely on just one stream of income. And so business can help you create an additional stream of income. And where does that income come from? That comes from you providing and creating value for other people. Whether that's you creating some type of product that helps people solve a problem and again creates value for those people. Or perhaps you're referring somebody to somebody else's product as an affiliate, something like that. But again, that product provides them value in some kind of way. So again, you're helping people with products, or you're providing some type of service that actually helps the people that use your service, right? And so that business creates value around something some skill or something that's inside of you that you can create. So again, the income comes from you creating value for other people, and that's what your business needs to do. Now, what value is it? What problem are you solving? That's up to you, deciding what type of business you should be in. The second reason why it does make sense to have a business, and you should start your own if you don't have one already, is because of all of the tax deductions that you would now have access to. And one of the things that we're just never really taught anything about is taxes, and how they work. And obviously, if you have an accountant, your accountant, he knows about taxes, right? Everybody maybe knows somebody who knows something about taxes. But when it comes to most people have no clue really how taxes work. And when you're W-2, and again, being in the military, working in corporate America for most of my life, I was W-2. And so, that is the most expensive way to pay taxes, right? And it's really one of the most inconvenient ways to pay taxes as well, because the government literally just takes the money right out of your check. Okay, and that's what happened to me in corporate America. Right, and pretty sure that still happens that way now. But before I would work, and then at the end of the pay period, I'd get my check, and it's like, well, Uncle Sam already showed up at HR and took his cut right off the top, and here's what I get left. So there's the gross amount that I actually earned, and then here's the net amount that I actually get, and it was always so much less. Right? So it is the most expensive way because the government gets their money first. As a business owner, I would get all of the money first, okay? And then from there, again, as a W-2, you got about 15 or so tax deductions that you may or may not qualify for. You may not qualify for all of them, but there's about 15 that are available for somebody to take purely on the W-2. Whereas as a business owner, now there are over 400 different deductions depending on how your business is structured and depending on what your business is that you can now take to deduct against that income. And the effect there is that you actually get to keep more of the money that you earn when you do so through a business because of all the tax deductions that are available. And on top of that, if you are doing your business part-time and you still have your W-2 job and you're paying all these W-2 taxes, well now, you have some additional deductibility to where you can start recouping some of the taxes that you're paying through your W-2. The third reason why you should consider starting your own business is because you're building something that you control, okay? And so what do I mean by that? What's really great about having your own business, and this is where, just kind of the discipline. I will say this, when it comes to having a business, it does take some hustle and it does take some effort and some energy to build a business. And so it's not something that's just going to, grow on its own and just start spitting out revenue for you. It's going to take something whether it's, again, your effort into the business. Certainly, if you're somebody that has a ton of capital, there's ways to put money into a business and earn from that. But most people aren't out there investing in or buying businesses. Certainly, if you are, fantastic, but most people aren't, and they're wanting to start a small business, and you're going to have to put some energy into this business to get it cooking. But the beauty of it is that it's ultimately up to you, and you ultimately have the control of how much time or energy you are going to put into your business to get the results that you're looking for. So you have the control. You're not going to have a boss breathing down your neck telling you what to do. It's your business, and for the first time ever. And again, I was W-2 for a long time. I was in the military before that. It wasn't my rules, right? Even in the military, definitely not my rules. Your corporate America, sure, I was the manager. I got to make some rules, right? But corporate really assigned a rule set to me that I worked within, okay? Inside of my own business, I get to call the shots because I'm the CEO. And you'll be the CEO as well. So you're building something that you have control of, and you'll get out of it what you put into it. So it does take some self-discipline, but if you bring the energy to the table and consistently take action over time, small actions taken over time consistently can yield some big time results and help you build a strong business, but you ultimately have control of it. And the fourth reason why you may want to start a business is because you're actually building a legacy, okay? And here's what I mean by that, not to get cheesy, right? But you're building a legacy. Again, you're building something that you own and you control, right? And imagine what it would be like if you actually built up, like let's say you did it, right? Like, let's say you've been in the corporate America grind for a long time, and you said, you know what, Mike, I'm gonna take action this year. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm gonna take action on this. And let's just imagine if you started taking action and you started getting the results that you never thought possible. You started generating, 5 figures per month inside of your business. You started making enough money to where you were able to literally walk away from your job because going to your job was actually costing you money, right? Being in that kind of a position. What if that happened? And what if that just changed your entire life? Well, down the line, now you have this asset. Now you have this business that's generating you cash flow every single month. And as you build out this business system, okay, there's different acronyms and strategies that I use. One of them is called the DEA, and no, I'm not talking about the Drug Enforcement Agency, but I'm talking about delegate, eliminate, or automate, which is what you do with your business activity, DEA. And so as you're growing and expanding, you'll start to automate, you'll start to delegate, you'll eliminate the things that don't matter, and you have a nice streamlined business that not necessarily you can completely step out of, but again, depending on the business, you just might be able to. Now you have a nice passive revenue stream, and it's ultimately an asset that you could pass down to your kids. This is something your kids, they can take over the family business. Some people have that dream. It's like, I just want my kids to be able to grow up and have options and then take over the family business. What would it be like to have something like that in place? What would it be like to level up your family? And, if everyone in your family line was just working a job and they never made it to where they wanted to be financially, maybe you're the one to step up and break that cycle and step into business ownership. So that way you can build the family legacy. So there you go, guys. That's my hard sell, okay? And my 4 big reasons why you should really consider starting your own business. Again, you can create that additional revenue stream. There's tax deductions that you now have the ability to take, saving you thousands of dollars in taxes that just normally go to the government, and we see what the government does with our tax money. In most scenarios, that money's best served in your pocket versus you just shipping it off to the government. And as a business owner, you can retain more of the money that you actually earn, okay? Number 3, again, you're building something that you own and control. Again, there's not going to be a boss breathing down your neck, telling what to do every single day in your business. This is your business, and you ultimately have control of how much effort you're going to put into this business, knowing that you're going to get out of this business exactly what you put into it. And as well, you're building a legacy. okay? And if you can get out there and build a strong, successful business, this is something that your kids could take over, or something you could pass down to your kids and really start to grow and develop streams that could turn into building generational wealth for you and your family. So hopefully you guys found value in this training and in this discussion about the 4 big reasons why you should really strongly consider becoming a business owner. And again, business ownership is not for everybody. I gotta say that, because it does take that an extra push, that again, for some people, it's just not right for them. Some people do have a certain wiring where, if you're not getting hours for dollars, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? In the end, guys, business ownership is not for everybody necessarily, but for those that it is for, it truly can be life-changing. And the bottom line is each and every one of us can accomplish a lot more than we sometimes believe. So you can do this, okay? If you have a vision and you're willing to take action, you can do this. If you found value in this training, in this message, make sure to give this video a like and give it a comment below. And I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Is this the right time to start a business and start building something that you own and control? I'd like to hear about that in the comments as well. And I will see you in the next video.